What up, y'all? This is Tracy from Nerd Squish, and today we are talking about the movie that's getting a lot of hate for absolutely no reason. That's right, we are talking about Rob Zombie's The Munsters. Okay, guys, it feels like we have been waiting for this movie forever. At least it feels that way to me. I feel like Rob Zombie has been hyping this up for so long, and I've just been dying in anticipation to see the Munsters come to life once again. And it's here. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Rob Zombie, he is known for his gory trailer trash horror movies, such as House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, 31, The Lords of Salem, and the list goes on. Now, Rob Zombie is an intense man. So when he announced that he was gonna do The Munsters, everybody was like, what? Come again? Excuse me? Because, like, his movies, when I say they're intense, like, it's a gore fest and it's wild. So you're like, wow, okay, so he's gonna do a modern reboot and make the Munsters insane. But no. That is not what this man did. Zombie is a self-proclaimed Monsters super fan. So he loves this series and wanted to do it right. And he really managed to do that. He made a PG, family-friendly Munsters movie for modern day. Before we get into the details of the movie, I want to welcome you if you're new here. This is Nerd Squish, where we take everything spooky and we take everything nerdy and we squish it all together. So if you like horror and pop culture, definitely hit that subscribe button so you can see more spooky videos from us in the future. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with The Munsters, they were a very popular TV series that premiered back in 1964, black and white, a tribute to the Universal Monsters, if you will, with like an Addams Family kind of a style. It was a family of Frankenstein, Dracula's daughter, and their werewolf son. And it's a very beloved series. Definitely by me. I grew up watching it and I absolutely love it, still watch it to this day. For Rob Zombie's 2022 version of The Munsters, it was a prequel, if you will, where we take it back to Transylvania where it all started. So we see Grandpa, who I guess really isn't Grandpa yet, but the Count and his daughter Lily living in their big spooky Transylvania castle, and she's looking for love. Lily wants to find her spooky soulmate, and her father is, to no luck, trying to find that for her. And in the midst of Lily searching for love, Grandpa, or the Count's ex-wife, is trying to take over their mansion for herself. So the movie starts off with Dr. Wolfgang going to the cemetery, digging up body parts to make his monster. So we have a little bit of a tribute to Frankenstein, although I feel like the vibes and the comedy and basically everything that's happening is much more young Frankenstein than Frankenstein, or Frankenstein, if you will. The brain switch, right? We have two brothers. We have one that's a super smart scientist and one that's like this just dumb comedian. And instead of getting the super smart scientist award-winning brain, we get the stand-up comedian's brain. So when the monster comes to life, they take him on a televised show to show him off so everybody can be impressed by the doctor. He just starts doing really terrible stand-up comedy and then a dance routine. And that's why I am getting all the young Frankenstein vibes, which I love because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Now, while Lily and her father are having dinner at the table, they have TV on, and this specific show is on, and she sees Herman, and she sees hearts, and she's in love, and she has to meet him. Like, it's love at first sight. Now, right from the get-go, her father is like, really? All the guys I give you, and this is the one, the blockhead? Herman actually becomes more of like a rock star than the stand-up comedian type, playing in a band at a little nightclub in Transylvania. So Lily heads to the nightclub to meet him in person. So she meets Herman at his dressing room, and also with Herman, it's love at first sight. And this creates one of my favorite little interactions in the whole movie. I just think it's so adorable, and I absolutely love it. So from here, they go on their first date. Of course, Lily's father is like, no, I do not want this kid to be my son-in-law. Why is this happening? Of course, that doesn't work. they get married, and then the subplot of his ex-wife trying to steal the mansion, Lester pulls some rotten stuff on Herman because, you know, he's kind of stupid, and he gets him to sign something to, of course, give the deed to the mansion to the Count's ex-wife, and so they're evicted. And that's what leads them to go to none other than the famous home of 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Now, this movie has been getting so much hate. And I knew it was gonna happen because Rob Zombie is just that guy that people love to hate, specifically his movies. He's kind of like, you know, people love to hate on Nickelback just because they're Nickelback. I don't really understand why. And Rob Zombie, he's that guy with his movies. People hate on him. I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan, more so of his music and just him in general than some of his movies. His movies are kind of hit or miss with me. I really, really love The Devil's Rejects. That's a great, fantastic movie. And while I'm not like huge on House of a Thousand Corpses, I do love, I mean, it's the same character, so it's kind of stupid that I don't like both of them, but whatever. I love the characters, Captain Spaulding and Baby. It's all there. It's great characters. And even Rob Zombie's movies that I don't like, I love and I respect for the fact that Rob Zombie is unapologetically always gonna be Rob Zombie. Like, you know his movies, you know his music, because he's got that stamp of weirdness that I love. I guess that's why a lot of people don't like it, is because he kind of does his own thing. He doesn't follow the typical Hollywood formula of, you know, the typical movies you see. Because I don't care what genre you're talking about. If you're talking about, obviously, when you come to these superhero movies, specifically Marvel, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. They're literally all the same. You see the same characters, the same CGI, the same cities being destroyed. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. I'm not going to be a total snob. There are exceptions to that rule. There are some fantastic Marvel and superhero movies that stand out above the rest. But let's face it, in 2022, there's a formula, and they all follow it. And this can be said for every genre, even genres like horror, that are kind of like the underdog, that break the rules and do what they want. And there are some movies still to this day that are doing that. But even horror movies have become very formulaic, and if you've seen one, you've probably seen them all. And that's why I love Rob Zombie. He does whatever he wants. He makes movies that he wants to see. I think that's a big reason people are hating on this, is it's not a movie made for the masses. It's made for monster kids who love cheese, who love camp, and who love the original 60s Munsters series. First and foremost, the best thing about this movie is the set design and makeup. This movie is absolutely gorgeous. Now, the original series, you definitely were in that house and you're like, I want to live in this spooky house of my dreams. But to see a modern take on it with all the beautiful bright neon colors that Zombie brings to this, it's like that TikTok sound where you're like, I want to go to there because I want to live in this. It's gorgeous. Herman, Lily, and Grandpa's makeup definitely stays true to the original series, but it's beautiful. Like in Lester, your boy Lester, I mean, you know, if you know, you know. I love werewolves, so I was definitely gonna say that Lester just looks the coolest. But everything is absolutely gorgeous in this movie. I'm not one to hate on black and white. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I hate black and white. I won't watch an old black and white movie or TV show. I love it. But I love old black and white movies. Some of my favorite movies are old black and white movies. But on the flip side of that, I love to see something completely visually opposite from the original series. We took something very black and white and we made it quite possibly the most colorful thing we possibly could, and I love that. And I also love that there's not a whole lot of CGI. We have a lot of practical effects and makeup, which I am a snob about CGI. I get it. Sometimes you need it. But here was a story where it wasn't necessary. Now, you know, any big-time blockbuster Hollywood director would have seen this, everything would have been CGI. Like, if this had been like some Marvel stuff, everything would have been fake. Green screens, we're reacting to tennis balls. It would have been terrible. But Rob Zombie knows. He knows the importance of practical sets and practical makeup. He had an interview a while back that I absolutely loved, but he was talking about his hate for over-the-top CGI. And he kind of talked about how, like, take old cheesy movies that, like, literally had Halloween gorilla costumes, and that's the monster, you know, stuff like that. And a lot of people nowadays see it and they're like, that's really stupid. But he was talking about how the human eye sees that, even though the costume's terrible, sees that as more real than a CGI monster. Because, like, the minute you see CGI, even if it's really great CGI, your brain is telling you, like, that's not real. So a cheesy, goofy costume comes off better than just over-the-top CGI, which is one of the reasons I love Rob Zombie and I love what he did with this movie. The standout character to me in this movie was definitely Jeff Daniel Phillips as Herman. I thought he was such a great Herman. Fred Gwynne as Herman is iconic, and there's nobody that will ever be able to do it quite like him. But I feel like Jeff's interpretation of it was so spot on and so great. It was very, very, very much like Fred Gwynne's portrayal, but with a little bit of his own twist, and he had me cracking up. He brought so much to that character, and I absolutely loved his portrayal. Now, obviously, Daniel Roebuck as Grandpa or the Count was fantastic. His role as the grumpy father-in-law was just so perfect. He had me cracking up all over the place. And again, I think he stayed true to the original Grandpa. We gotta talk about Sherry Moon because y'all know, much like everybody loves to hate Rob Zombie, they love to hate that his wife is always in his movies. I love Sherry Moon. Is she the best actress in the world? No. But she always does a really good job in her roles. Like, the roles that she's in, like, she does it. She pulls it off. Like, she pulls off that character. Now, I will say, compared to everybody else, like, her role definitely didn't stand out. But if you watch the original Lily, like, she had the mannerisms and her goofy little quirks, like, down. And I think she really pulled off a good Lily Munster. Another standout actor that I really want to point out is Richard Brake as Dr. Wolfgang. This man, okay, I have to back up and say that I don't know what else he's really been in besides Rob Zombie movies. But this dude, every time he's on screen, in any movie that I've ever seen him in, he's acting his little booty off. Like, he is a phenomenal actor. And, like, I'm immediately after this video gonna go look up other things that he's been in, just so I can enjoy his talent. And it was kind of weird because, you know, I definitely picture him, like, anytime I think of that actor, I picture his role in 31, which was gritty, gory, and terrifying. And you have him in this, which is just cheesy camp, and he pulls that off too. Like, he's such a good actor, and I loved the beginning scene of him creating Herman. It was fantastic. Richard Brake is a legend. Now, obviously, this is a prequel, so we don't see characters like Eddie, Marilyn, but we do get to see Spot before he became the big Spot under the stairs. And I love that we get to see little baby Spot rescued from their honeymoon in Paris. And even scenes of him being like the little puppy dog they have laid in the bed with them. I absolutely love that. You actually have some of the actors from the original series that appear more or less just as voices. So you have Butch Patrick, who played Eddie, and he is the voice of the Tin Can Man that marries Herman and Lily. And we have Pat Priest, one of the many Marilyns that we've had over the years, who shows up as the Transylvania airline announcer. So I love that for big fans of the original series, you know, we have that sprinkled in here that most people probably wouldn't recognize or know, but I love that. And there's some other horror legends that pop up in this movie that got me really excited. You have Cassandra Peterson, Elvira herself, that plays the real estate agent that sells the Munsters their new home in America. So I always love seeing her. She was great. And you also have them constantly watching like classic monster movies in the background. And at one point they're watching The Mummy. So you see your boy Boris Karloff. The monster kid in me was screaming like, I love this. So overall, I thought this was a fantastically fun, spooky movie, and I think Rob Zombie did an amazing tribute to a beloved classic series. I feel like the overall tone of the movie definitely captured the original tone of the beloved series, with the camp and the cheese and the dad jokes. It felt like a modern, brightly colored, like I felt like I was watching the series, but in color. But it's also a really great way to introduce horror to kids. And again, this is shocking. Rob Zombie made a kid-friendly movie. Yeah, I'll say that louder again so you know. This is a kid-friendly movie made by the man who made House of a Thousand Corpses. Let that sink in. My only complaint with this movie is the fact that I wanted more of the Munsters at 1313 Mockingbird Lane. I wanted more of them in their American life. It was really cool to see them in their prequel life of Transylvania, but the reason we love the Munsters is to see these crazy monster family living amongst normal people. That's what makes the Munsters the Munsters. And I don't know if we're gonna get a sequel. I really, really, really hope we do, because I want to see more of them in this world. Because legitimately, when the movie ended, I was like, another! Next episode! Oh, it's a movie. There's no more. There's no more. Like, I was legitimately upset. I wanted to binge this until my eyes bled. Like, I really, really enjoyed it that much. I don't understand why this movie is getting hate, besides the fact that people just love to hate on Zombie. I think this was a beautiful tribute to the original series. And if you're a monster kid that loves cheese and camp and the original 1964 Munster series, you're going to love this movie. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this movie. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you nerds later. Shwam banana dana shwana now. Ba da da don't da 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 wow 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 wow.